Tuesday back in effect. B Voice Radio Wisconsin Voices here. Bryan Sanders in the mix with y'all again. Thank y'all for always listening. Happy National Voter Registration Day. We getting right to it. Looks like we got callers on the line. Um, is he in the mix right now? All right, David, you online?
Yep, David Bowen here, Executive Director. Thanks, Bryan. How you doing?
Man, pretty good, pretty good. I didn't do my official greeting this morning, so Bryan Sanders, community outreach organizer. Then we got David Bowen, and we got one more on the call too as well, right? All right, cool. All right, I'm no. This is a on the call interview, so if y'all got to turn up a little bit from any radios for the radio station, just so y'all can hear everything going on. Just want to make sure y'all hear this important national voter registration interview. So it's all yours.
I appreciate that, Bryan. And while there are multiple things happening this week, it's also National Constitution Day. And that's happening tomorrow. So a lot of national days that we're highlighting here on the show for the viewers and for the listeners, viewers online and listeners on the radio. And we have a treat for you guys. This brother is Svante Myrick. He is the president of the People for the American Way, an amazing national organization that highlights the dynamic interests of our communities across our country when it comes to protecting our democracy. And he has been in this fight for quite some time. He was elected at a young age, quite like myself, and we've crossed paths for years. And I'm excited about his leadership being the president of the People for the American Way and the work that they do. And protecting democracy and our Constitution is one of the pillars of some of the work that they do. And he has an amazing team that he works with based in D.C., but their reach extends to leaders and especially leaders of color and Black leaders all across this country, right here in Wisconsin too. So Svante, thank you so much for coming on the show. David. That's good.
All right, cool. We'll be right back. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. See y'all in a second. Radio, Wisconsin Voices. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? We back on here with, I don't know if David Bowen's still in the mix, but with Svante Myrick. Are you still there? And Mr. William Sulton? Okay. All right, Mr. Sulton, you still there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Thanks for tapping in with you again. Thank you. I don't think I got to say anything to you when we first got on the line. I know Mr. Myrick was on the line, so thank you for calling in and thank you for contributing to Be a Voice Radio. You know, here we with us, we have done a lot of campaigns and the last couple of years with just engaging our people here in the city. Is there any practices or exercises that you recommend for our people in the community, or just individuals that are trying to ignite some of the younger youth that they're working with? I know the youth vote is, you know, one of the highest, of course, one of the votes that we always talk about during the election season. So is there a way that we can engage our I'm gonna say our quote unquote vets in the city to engage maybe some of the youth that they're currently, you know, either mentoring or that they're raising?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is showing up, right? We got to show up for the youth, and I think that starting with your own household and encouraging, you know, your students who are in middle school and high school, maybe even elementary school, to get involved is a great way. I know there are some great teachers in the city who have really energized young people in classrooms who have come to them. But I think it really is incumbent on us, you know, the folks that are, you know, between, you know, 30 and 45 that have, you know, school age children, to teach them about our history and to teach them about how we win, what success looks like, what's the strategies, right?
I like that. Yeah. I'm in a space where I feel like that strategy needs to be recalibrated. Well, you know, and I feel like, you know, as far as organizations here in Milwaukee, I feel like, and across the country, I think that recalibrated, that restructuring. Have you seen on your end, just working? I know you work in a lot of lanes yourself. Have you seen a lot of organizations, either locally or across southeastern Wisconsin, starting to kind of recalibrate how they're making their moves here locally within the you know, with voter registration or just civic engagement?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a number of organizations that were created by young people that are doing quite well. Freedom Inc. in Madison comes to mind. You know, Leaders of Kenosha and Kenosha comes to mind. I think all over Wisconsin, there are young people that are coming together. I think that they would benefit from some guidance from, as you said, some of the vets, the mid-career professionals, which I think has been sort of the challenge that I've seen, is that mid-career professionals are often burned out at work, so it makes it difficult to sort of get involved in those youth movements.
So you say I'm sorry, I think I couldn't hear you that last part, but you said the burnout. Was you talking about the burnout of the work?
Yeah, so I was saying that I think mid-career professionals are quite burned out at work, and so I think it makes it hard for them to get involved in some of these youth movements.
Yeah.
But I do think that the youth movements would benefit from having, you know, some experienced strategy from mid-career professionals.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, being able just to ignite and just motivate that next group. And I think that's the biggest thing right now is I know yesterday we had two of our groups on one group, of course, True School is out here making a difference and just cultural hip hop and just keeping the artistic flow going here in the city. And then we also had Share the Love on yesterday. It was another group that's out here, you know, campaigning. And one of the things that we talked about with them yesterday was making sure that the knowledge is being applied the right way. You know, it just, you know, and it's so much changing every day. So the education piece, would you or Mr. Myrick, are you still on the phone as well? I guess not, Mr. Myrick. But Mr. Sulton, that education piece or teaching our youth about the importance of that civic engagement piece. Have you, are you or anybody of the people that you're working with, have you seen in that space too, as far as the education or the knowledge for the youth? Is that being applied, or you think that needs to be exercised more as well?
I think that more youth engagement is always a good thing. But yes, the American Civil Liberties Union of Wisconsin puts on a Summer Justice Institute for for young people that is known around the country as, a great institute. Not every ACLU affiliate does it. We have one of the best ones here in Milwaukee. The Milwaukee branch of the NAACP has a youth committee, and these young people do great work on civil engagement, showing up to common council meetings, showing up to board supervisor meetings. So we do see a lot of sort of larger, organizations with more longevity, giving back to the youth to help them learn the history of civil rights and liberties and what their strategies were. But you're absolutely right that the world is changing every day, and we do need new strategies. And young people, I think, have a lot to bring to the table as well.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I see that is important to you, and I like to just hear about it a little bit more. I might have missed some of it, so excuse me when are you talking to David and Mr. Myrick earlier. But I know service and volunteerism is real important to you. Could you highlight some of either some of the service and volunteering that you still commit to, being the busy man that you are, and what really got you into some of that work? And I know for a lot of youth, because some of the youth we work with, starting them in volunteering and having them work with us on certain spaces out in the community, it really ignites them to want to work with us, or even get hired on with some of the organizations that we work with. So would you mind sharing some of your service work or volunteering that you have worked with, or organizations you work with in the community?
Sure. There's nothing like the heart of a volunteer. It's one of the best things you can do as a human, in my opinion. It's a great experience. I would say that in my volunteer, I get more out of volunteering than I feel like they get out of me. So it really is something that's been important. There was a senior vice president at BlackRock. I had a chance to listen to him speak, and one of the things he mentioned during his speech is that you have to marry your volunteer work with what you do in your professional life. Otherwise, you'll become overwhelmed.
Man,
and so that's really what I've tried to do. I'm a civil and constitutional rights attorney. I tend to volunteer in the civil and constitutional rights space. I'm the board president of the ACLU of Wisconsin. I'm the general counsel of the NAACP in Milwaukee. Serve on the board for the Convergence Resource Center, which is an anti-human trafficking organization in the city. I'm a past president of the Black Lawyers Association. They have a fancier title, but that's what I call them. I try to get involved in whatever I can do to improve the community. And I think that's really the best calling that any of us can have. I don't view it as secondary to my job. I view it as the mission.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, so you just keep it, from what I'm sounding like, you just stay as true as you can to what really brought you in the mix. And you is it like giving back honor, or is it like not even giving back honor? It's like giving back to what brought you into the work. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I got to start with my parents. I mean, my parents were very clear to me when I was a child. They said, if you're in a position to help somebody, help them. If you're not in that position, figure out how to get in that position.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to just your work with the ACLU, and I know we've probably spoke about some of it. Again, I was in between. It was kind of hard for me to hear some of the interview. How does your role as the president of ACLU of Wisconsin, really push you into into that influence of that civic engagement? Of course, being a president of the ACLU, you have more. But do you feel like as the president, do you feel like you need to be on the ground more, or are you more in the mix of in the boardrooms making the changes, or do you have to spend a lot of your time between the two?
I would say both. Yeah, definitely. I think, seeing the view from the ground, I think, is really important. And just to be honest, I always get swept up in that, right? I mean, I like the demonstration movement. I enjoy it as much as the demonstrators. So I always want to be a part of the view from the ground. No question that, I run the board.
Mm-hmm.
I have to, I have a responsibility to do things like manage the strategic direction of the organization. And so I have to do some of those things as well. But none of that boardroom work detracts from why I originally got involved with the ACLU, or this work more generally, which is I wanted to make a real difference.
Yeah, and it sounds like you have made a real difference in the past yourself. I've looked at and seen that you've helped a lot of nonprofits in legal spaces pro bono. And is that correct?
That is correct.
So you out here just giving back to the community in a lot of spaces, man. We need more people engaged in these spaces. Now, do you know when I go to a CBC, I see a lot of young lawyers and speak to a lot of young lawyers I've worked with in a lot of spaces with Transformative Justice Coalition. Shout out to them. How are you feeling about all these young black lawyers, man? I've been seeing this rise the last 10, 15 years. And I know it's been prominent in the community for ages, but it's like a new wave of young black lawyers and new people returning to law. I had a friend that I met in DC not too long ago. Well, now it's been like 3-4 years, and went back and got their JD, came over to Chicago to finish off their I believe that is that Northern or somewhere right outside of Chicago, when finished up some schooling there and went back to DC. How does that been looking for you, and how do you feel seeing all these black and brown lawyers coming up within all the changes we've had in the United States the last 10 to 15 years?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, I went to the University of Wisconsin Law School from 2005 to 2008. During that time frame, UW-Madison had the most diverse law school in the top 100, right?
Okay.
It was an incredibly enjoyable law school experience, right? And there's no question that my generation is the most educated and wealthiest black generation of all time. We've got the most lawyers, financial professionals, doctors, etc. And that's a really, really good thing, right? But we also want to make sure that all of these professionals are giving back their time and talent, not just money, right?
Yeah, that's real.
And I think that really needs to be the message for, mid-career black professionals. Please donate your time and talent, not just money.
Man, that's a great soundbite right there. I definitely can see that the engagements I see on both sides. I've seen the folks that you said, they're great with, they being in the front, they throwing up the money, but then, splitting that time in between, still want to see you in the community, especially if you're trying to move in other spaces, right? Like, some of the lawyers, they want to move into director positions or maybe even to political positions. So, you got to make yourself be seen. So you're not just looked at, you're just a walking pocketbook.
Absolutely, and generally, what I was fortunate to have delivered a speech at City Hall on Sunday, and one of the things that I was talking to black professionals about was that black culture has a lot to bring to this world, right? And we see that in sports, in film, and in music, but that's also true for law,
mm-hmm.
also true for medicine,
mm-hmm.
Also true for airline pilots, right? And so I think folks should really think about leaning into, our culture as a way of really providing real demonstrable service to our community.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for sharing that. Just going more into voting rights legislation, with ongoing legal challenges, voting rights, what do you see as the most significant threats to fair and accessible elections in the United States today? As far as what's, in these, there's a lot of specific legislation that's been going out, but anything that you've seen lately that's, been disturbing. I know some of the things probably was mentioned earlier and I might have missed it, just in case the viewers, our listeners did. What is the most threatening piece of legislative you've seen in the last few months?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is the attack on mail voting, right?
Yeah.
Mail voting has been determined to be secure forever. And the attack on mail voting now, I think, is the biggest threat to voting rights. There are a lot of other threats, right? The refusal to have drop boxes,
mm-hmm.
the purging of voter rolls, archaic ID requirements, right? The long lines, right? I mean, you can't even deliver water to people who are standing in line for 3 hours, right? There are so many attacks that are meant to limit the franchise, and I think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Any voter suppression. I was mentioning yesterday. I mean, every time we speak about this, I think about one of the documentaries I was watching, and just talking a little bit, and I was really telling the listeners and the few viewers we have, pay attention to the Black Voters Matter documentary and about the voter suppression, and look at the different angles, that have been attacked, or the way that we have been attacked across the country, specifically, of course, down south. But of course, you see a lot that does go on here in the state of Wisconsin as well. The one that everybody suggests, or I've been suggesting, is the one right there on YouTube. Check it out. I've been trying to make sure that we igniting the fire and getting everybody ready for the next voter registration. Now, in your view with gerrymandering, how does gerrymandering undermine the principle of one person, one vote? What do you see as the most promising solutions to these issues, such as independent redistricting commissions?
Yeah, I mean, I think that independent redistricting commissions is a good thing, but I also think social justice organizations are, right? I mean, I think the people can get together with organizations and propose their own maps and litigate those maps in court, right? And we saw that play out in Wisconsin, right, where we had the Republican Party and the Democratic Party present maps.
Mm-hmm.
We had, third-party maps that were being presented. In our state, we still haven't gotten it right. They are still diluting the Black and Latinx vote, and that's wrong. And I think that we've had some real setbacks with the Voting Rights Act at the Supreme Court, but we've never given up before. We shouldn't give up now on that. So I still think litigation is a good pathway. But I would encourage social justice organizations to really study this issue more, so that we can bring more successful cases in court.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Looks like we got, how much more time we got with you, Attorney Sulton? I know I don't want to take you from your work, but I want to make sure we're going to crack one more break before we get a few questions. I got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll probably get you up out of here if we take too much of your time. Excuse me, but I do want to make sure everybody understands that we got a lot of people in Milwaukee that's working every day to assist with voting rights and making sure that you're well aware of what's going on in your community. So before we take a break, we just want to make sure that we want to shout out a couple of people that's been working with us in different spaces, and also some of the people that have been contributing to Wisconsin Voices, which we do have this gala coming up for our partners and people in the community and the people that has been fighting for voting rights, making sure that we have services in our community, individuals that's been going out doing things to keep the streets safe. There are people that are speaking every day in different spaces downtown that are working directly with some of our automatic or our councilmen and individuals that's working behind the scenes. So thank y'all. We do want to make sure that we shout out. You got one more? Okay. Also make sure that we shout out some of the people that have contributed, sponsors to our gala as well. We got Lakefront Brewery that has been one of our sponsors and participants to our donated to our gala. She Slangs Wood, want to make sure we shout them out as well as some of our sponsors for our gala. So, and as we come back, we definitely will make sure that we hit a few other people. So Mr. Sultan, we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and then we'll be back just to ask a few more questions to you. But you got anything for the people before we take this break?
I would just say, please donate your time and talent.
All right, sounds good. We'll be back with a few more questions for you. Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. And if y'all got any questions for Mr. Sultan, please give us a call, 414-444-5253. Again, 414-444-5253. See you in a second. Wisconsin Voices. It's about 70 something degrees outside. It's sunny. Folks is driving up and down Capitol like they got somewhere to go. It ain't like it used to be where everybody used to be at home. Yeah. Mr. Sulton, you still on the air with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, so we're gonna get to. I got a few just questions in the lane, and I know I was under my little community tip for a second, so excuse me, but I just kind of want to get into like freedom of speech in the digital age, of course, with all everything's going on. How has the rise of social media platforms and online discourse complicated the application of the First Amendment's protection? So, do you believe these platforms are acting as state actors when they moderate content? And what is your legal view on the balance between free speech and the regulation of hate speech and misinformation?
Yeah, so I mean, the primary tool for dealing with illegal speech is defamation, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a careful balancing between, defamatory speech. Those are untrue facts that are designed to injure a person, right? And somebody stating their opinions, right? Yeah. Which can never be defamation. And so I have seen in the court system a rise in defamation cases. But I've also seen a lot of pushback, although not in Wisconsin, but around the country, on specifically social media platforms like Facebook and X, right? Mm-hmm. That, there's a recognition that on those platforms, people are expressing opinions and we really shouldn't be suing over it. And also, I think around the country, we do have, SLAPP laws, which prohibit defamatory lawsuits that we're seeing rising in Wisconsin. And so Wisconsin really should consider adopting SLAPP laws from neighbors. I do think that it is problematic for, some of these social media platforms like True Social mm-hmm. That heavily censor speech, right? Speech they don't like, and saying, hey, we're not going to promote it, right? Or we're going to somehow use an algorithm to make sure nobody can see it. I do think that's wrong, and I do think that we're going to see a rise in litigation about that.
Yeah. I mean, anytime anybody is using any type of algorithms to mislead people, yeah, it needs to be regulated, and it shouldn't be allowed. Now, with that being said, I mean, even this past 2 days, I was on the internet yesterday, or actually this morning, I seen it looked like it was some snipers on a rooftop of a Milwaukee building during a protest here in Milwaukee. It looked like it's a peaceful protest. They were just spotters and a shooter. But I know with these protests and a lot of public assemblies going on, and with given your work, what are some of the most common constitutional violations you have seen when it comes to the right to peaceful assembly? And then how do you distinguish a lawful protest and a public safety threat? And within your work, how does your legal work protect protesters from police oversearch?
Wow, yeah, those are some big questions, right? I mean, first off, what I would say that I've seen in Milwaukee, I mean, you don't need to have a protest, right? Any gathering of black or brown people brings out the snipers. Just go to Juneteenth, right? Mm-hmm. On King Drive, right? You can see them on the rooftops, right? Yeah. That's not a demonstration. That's a celebration right in there, right?
Exactly.
The most common violations that I see against demonstrators are unlawful arrests, unlawful dispersal orders, unlawful frisks, unlawful searches and seizure, arrest and release, excessive force during an arrest, right? Mm-hmm. Police officers and, more importantly, police chiefs and county sheriffs have discretion, right? And they've been using it in the wrong way, right? Instead of trying to prevent people from demonstrating, they should be protecting them during those demonstrations. But I do think it is noteworthy that in our state and in others, they do not react the same way when those demonstrations are about other people, right? But if it has something to do with George Floyd, if it has something to do with, the ICE raids, that's when you're seeing the violations. You don't see them when they're trying to protect white supremacists' right to protest, right? And parade down the street.
Right.
And so, I do think that's a significant thing we have to get right and talk about.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I guess we can keep in the lane of privacy and technology. And even here. Oh, and before we even go into that, just deep into the privacy and technology, local here in Milwaukee, I know you've probably been involved with it with the facial recognition technology. What is your view on the facial recognition technology that has been presented here, or it seems like it has been last? I know Milwaukee Turners, which is one of our partners, has mentioned, and we're one of the first organizations that I really started seeing or paying attention to it like that. What is your views on a facial recognition technology that has been presented to Milwaukee County or wants to be used here in Milwaukee County, or the city of Milwaukee, excuse me?
That it should be roundly rejected, right? I mean, number one, the technology doesn't work, right? So this whole idea that the technology helps solve crime is simply not true. It's inaccurate and misleading from the jump. So that's important, right? Number two, the right to privacy is critical, right? And all of these attacks on the right to privacy affect everything that we're doing in our life, from access to women's health care, right, to access to certain websites. We should not be allowing this technology where I'm walking down the street and all of a sudden some inaccurate information gets sent to a police department, and now I'm picked up not based on actual human interaction or observation, but instead based on some software that frankly isn't designed to do what they claim.
Yeah, I've looked at different software and seen some things years ago when they were showing how, it was awful. So many, where it was skin tone, bone structure, everything. So, how could we trust anything when we know every year, every few weeks, we have a major malfunction or a crash of software across this country, whether it's the flight system or our banking system. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Another one that's been a topic as well, as always, and we've seen it's been mentioned, whether on or off, but police body cameras. The police body cameras are often used, of course, as a solution for police accountability. What are some of the constitutional implications for both the public and law enforcement?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that body camera footage can, demonstrate police misconduct. It can also demonstrate police positive conduct, right? So it helps sort of dispel suspicion against police officers if they're doing the right thing. But I think the main effect that body camera footage has is a deterrent effect, right? I think we would see more violent conduct if we didn't have body cameras, right? And even in Wisconsin, for example, the city of Madison does not have body cameras, right? And I think that is a bad practice. The Waukesha County Sheriff's Department does not have body cameras, right? That is a bad practice, and that's why I think you see a rise in complaints out there.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't even know. So the sheriffs don't have body cameras?
No. Most law enforcement departments, whether we're talking about city, village, police departments, or county sheriffs, do have body cams. Oh, okay, there are some significant gaps. Okay. Waukesha Sheriff's Department and the City of Madison Police Department.
Does Wauwatosa have them yet? I mean, at one point they didn't.
Correct? Yes, they do.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, Wauwatosa has them. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Just I guess shifting gears to the one of your probably favorites is the I guess be the 14th Amendment, right? Just the 14th Amendment's equal protection clause has been central to modern voting rights litigation. How does the Supreme Court interpretation of the clause evolved, and how do you use it as a legal tool to challenge voter ID laws or other voting regulations that disproportionately affect minority groups? That's a loaded question. But...
Yeah, I mean the main law was the Voting Rights Act until recently, right? We've had to switch to the Equal Protection Clause, which provides that you can't, deprive someone of rights, privileges, and immunities, right, on account of their race or singling them out because you don't like them. And that is sort of the new era of litigation because of the decimation of voting rights laws. Mm-hmm. But what I think is important to keep in mind is there's a lot of law and precedent that's being created at the district court level and at the Circuit Court of Appeal level, right? I think there's a lot of focus on the U.S. Supreme Court, and I get that, but there's a lot of law being created by the lower court that is critical. I mean, we're having wins, right? Mm-hmm. So don't get it twisted. I mean, we have civil and constitutional rights lawyers throughout this country that are winning cases regularly, we've had some notable losses at the U.S. Supreme Court. But I would say, on the whole, we're winning around the country in these voting rights cases.
I love it. That's what I want to hear. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just got a wrap up question for you. And I really appreciate your patience today and just in your accurate responses and just the knowledge that you give into the city. So you dedicated your career to the least and the last and the left behind. If you've worked tirelessly on issues ranging from voting rights to criminal justice reform. So as a civil rights lawyer and a leader of the ACLU, what is your ultimate vision for a just society? And what will it take to get there? And what do you hope your personal and professional legacy would be in a long, ongoing struggle for a more perfect union?
Yeah, for me, I'm just trying to level the playing field. And I believe that, drafting legislation and enforcing those rights through the court system is the way to do that. And I would say that the number one thing that I'd like to see over the next 25 years is I'd like to see way more lawyers in Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin has too few attorneys, and certainly too few attorneys that are in this space. So I would like to see an army of civil and constitutional rights lawyers that are towing the line against the encroachments that we're seeing today.
Man, watch all these young Black lawyers across the country do their thing, the ones that I work with, and just hearing you do your thing. I mean, it's motivating. I mean, look, you might have some people returning to law school just off of this interview and just thinking about it. I got people now that's interested in going back because they see all the injustices going on in our system. So again, I just want to thank you for taking time, and I hope we can get you on, and maybe we can get you in the studio next time and pop up, and everybody can have you here, and we can have another great conversation about this and all the other civic engagement and constitutional rights that people need to know about. Anything else for the people before we let you go?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I've enjoyed it, and I will come on at any time.
I appreciate that. Thank you again. So, Mr. William Sulton here in Milwaukee doing his thing. God bless you, sir. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. This is Bryan Sanders, Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. I do want to thank y'all for just always listening to us and tapping in.